Hey everybody! Today I am going to be presenting a visual timeline of the Renaissance painter Raphael. Okay, so quick introduction. Raphael was one of the most notable artists in the Italian Renaissance. He was best known for his large figure paintings, clear composition, and form. And much like the other Renaissance artists at that time, Raphael used techniques such as perspective and sfumato to achieve realism in his paintings. Okay, so about his apprenticeship, it lasted from 1500 to 1504, and so in 1500 he had an apprenticeship with Pietro Vannucci, also known as Perugino, and from a young age, Raphael was already a very talented artist. It was quoted that probably no other pupil of genius has ever absorbed so much of his master's teachings as Raphael did, by Wolflin, an art historian. His works during this period included the Mon Crucifixion, the Three Graces, the Knight's Dream, and the Marriage of a Virgin, which is shown to the left. Okay, so now let's take a look at the Marriage of a Virgin. So this was a marriage between Mary and Joseph, and this painting shows the development and growth of his style, while still heavily influenced by Perugino. It also uses perspective, one-point perspective, as shown here. Here's the horizon line, and you can see the convergence lines going into the vanishing point right here. Okay, so next up is his painting called The Disputation of the Holy Sacrament. This was painted in 1510, and it is in the Stanza della Signatura in the Apostolic Palace in Vatican City. This is a fresco painting, and this piece symbolizes Christianity's win over other philosophical ideals. As you can see, this also uses one-point perspective, where the horizon line is about right here. And if you look down in the tiles, you can see the lines converge. They all converge into the vanishing point in the center. Okay, so his next painting is The School of Athens. This was painted around 1509 to 1511. This is one of his most notable paintings. It's also in the Stanza della Signatura. It's actually in the same room as the Disputation of the Holy Sacrament. And the men in this painting are supposed to represent the most important classical Greek philosophers and scientists. And as you can see, we can already see Raphael's growth and development of his signature style. If you go back to the Marriage of the Virgin, the colors are much more muted. And here in School of Athens, he uses much more vibrant colors, and the composition of the piece as a whole is more balanced and has a greater sense of unity. So next up is the Sistine Madonna. This was painted in 1512, and it's very commonly said that this painting is the supreme among the world's paintings. In this piece, you can see the use of chiaroscuro, which is it was a really popular technique at the time, and it was basically used to create light and shadows in the painting to add depth and like a 3D effect to it. And this painting also uses pyramidal composition, and so the Madonna's here, and the other figures in this painting are kind of supporting her in a way, so it creates this triangle effect. And so Raphael's choice of colors here, it enhances the warm expressions on the Madonna, giving this painting a really warm, like inviting tone to it. So next up, we have this painting called The Triumph of Galatea. This was painted in 1512, and it was inspired by the poem La Giostra by Poliziano. So Galatea is this character from Greek mythology. She falls in love with this man named Assus, and even after he gets killed by this Cyclops who also is in love with her. She still like perseveres. And so the theme of this painting was basically true love. Okay, his next work is called Woman with a Veil. This was painted in 1514, and the woman in this portrait was actually Raphael's mistress and model, Margherita Luti. And this was a good example of Raphael's desire to show beauty and idealism in his work. And if we look closer at this painting, this is a really good example of his use of sfumato. As you can see, the light and dark, like his use of light and dark really makes the shadows blend together very well. And so it's almost like a seamless transition. So it really makes the piece have a softer feel to it and a softer, more realistic feel to it. Okay, so his next painting was also a portrait. It was actually a painting of his close friend, Baldassare Castiglione. This was painted in 1514 to 1515. And unlike his other paintings, the colors in this piece are very muted, and it gives the portrait like a quiet, more intimate close-up feel. If you compare this painting to, say, one of his other paintings, for example, The Triumph of Galatea, you can see how vibrant the colors are in this piece compared to the ones in this piece. So his choices of colors really give off a different mood in this piece, which I think is really fitting since it was a portrait of his close friend. This painting is La Fornanina. This was painted in 1520, and it was an oil painting. This is also another portrait of his mistress, Margherita Luti. And fun fact about this painting, recently a restoration shows that a wedding ring was painted on her finger, but was then covered up. So it was believed that Margarita and Raphael couldn't be married due to the differences in their social classes. And then the last painting that he did was called the Transfiguration. This was painted. This was painted in 1520, and it was his last painting that he worked on before his death in April 6th of that year. And this is another religious painting that shows Jesus and his three apostles on the mountaintop. And then so Raphael's legacy, he was one of the most influential painters during the Renaissance, and he was also often compared with Leonardo da Vinci and Michelangelo. And even though he was only 37 at the time of his death, Raphael made a lasting mark and changed the way many people view art as a whole.